4K recording at the front, 1080p interior, 1080p rear, 5G Wi-Fi, and a sleek design. We are talking about the Redtiger F17. Is it the ultimate all-in-one surveillance solution for your car? Let's dive in. First things first, what do you get in the box? The box itself is a rectangular one in black color with company and model branding at the front of it, along with some highlights and a glossy picture of the main unit, which looks really good by the way. Pretty much nothing going on most of the sides apart from just the one here and the rear, where we can notice the 18 months warranty we get with this unit, which is great. Inside the box we get a few user manuals, 2 adhesive pads or electrostatic stickers to stick them to your car's front and rear windshields, a smaller square box containing a few things. Let's get this thing out of the main box first, and the Redtiger F17 main unit, which we'll take a look at in a minute. Inside the smaller box we get a GPS module bracket, which would eventually stick to the car's front windshield and in the interim act as a support for our main unit as well, which are the front and interior dashcam setup. These pins will help communicate the GPS coordinates to our F17. We also get a car charger with a spare USB-A port, perhaps to charge your phone or something, always a nice addition, some cable clips for cable management, a spare double-sided tape for our GPS module bracket, a wiring crowbar to hide away the cables, and the rear camera unit with a pretty long cable. This cable comes in 2 parts, which we can always disconnect. Pretty useful while installation, I'm sure. And now the main device, which comes in its own protective and quite thick foam casing. Awesome. Holding it in my hand, the F17 feels pretty solid. It's compact, discreet, and doesn't scream dash cam from the outside. The build quality seems good, mostly plastic, but it feels sturdy enough. I like the matte black finish this thing gets. At the front we get company branding along with the front 4K camera, which is almost as thick as the main unit itself. Not much of anything on the left or right sides of it. At the top we get all of the ports apart from some ventilation holes, Type-C port to power it up, rear camera port, microSD card slot with a 64GB card already inserted, and of course the GPS bracket slot. Up to a maximum of 512GB of storage is supported in the Redtiger F17. At the bottom we can see some information of the unit along with 5 buttons and once again some ventilation holes. At the rear is where we can see the inside camera, a screen, and a microphone, I assume. The GPS bracket is quite easy to connect as it slides right in, matching all of the pins automatically. Once connected, the main unit can be tilted vertically only. If you also get the hardwire kit, then it includes a lot of things as well. We get a user manual once again, which is gonna be very useful. The hardwire kit itself with a small box in the middle, which will show voltage information, settings of which can be changed on the side of it. Most cars would have the 12 volts option selected, including me when I'll be installing it in my car, the Kia Sonet. Type-C port on one end of the cable that'll connect to the dashcam, and 3 separate cables, 2 of which would connect to your car's fuse box and 1 to any earthing bolt or nut nearby the fuse box. 2 separate identical sets of tap connectors of different sizes have also been provided here for both these red and yellow cables. Selection of these would depend entirely upon your car's fuse sizes, so we do get most of the options here. And to complete the connection, we just need to push in these cables. That's it. No need to go and buy any special tool or equipment for it, as everything has already been provided to us. We also get a double-sided tape to stick the small box anywhere within the fuse box, which is quite thoughtful. If you want parking mode, the included hardwire kit is essential. This connects directly to your car's fuse box, providing constant power. If you're not comfortable with electrical work, consider a professional installation for this part. For reference, here's how I have connected the F17 to my car, the Kia Sonet GTX Plus, which is the top model of the year 2020. In a gist, the yellow or B plus cable would connect to a fuse slot that gets constant power even when the car is switched off, which for me here is the 10 ampere memory fuse slot, which is the one at the top. The red or ACC cable would connect to a fuse slot that gets power only when the car is switched on, which for me here is the 10 ampere ACC or accessory fuse slot, which is the one at the bottom. And as for the ground cable, this has been connected to this nut here, thus completing the circuit. Installation is fairly standard. You'll stick the front unit to your windshield, ideally behind your rear view mirror for discretion. The rear camera requires routing a cable from the front of your car all the way to the back, and this is where a bit of patience and maybe some trim removal tools come in handy. I recommend tucking the cables neatly under the headliner and along the pillars for a clean look. Let's talk design now that everything has been set up. On the screen we can see a red flashing dot signifying that the dashcam has already started recording. Once we press any of the buttons on the device, we can see a lot more information on the screen, including the current time. The first button from the right can be used to switch between the cameras either individually or all together in different positions on the screen itself, which by the way is not a touchscreen. The second button allows us to view the recorded files in different folders. We get 3 rows and 3 columns. The first row is for the front camera, second row for the inside camera, and the last row for the rear camera. First column is for all the normal video recordings. Second column is for all the emergency or locked video recordings. This is where all the accident video clips should be stored automatically should you enable that option in the settings. And the last column consists of all of the pictures taken using the cameras. We can play, pause, or delete any of the video clips on the screen itself if you're not using the mobile app, that is. We'll take a look at that app too in just a moment. So we do get both the options, and yes, the recordings will stop whenever you access the recorded clips or pictures. The center button allows us to record an emergency video clip of your choice should the need arise. This will then change the red icon to yellow color. It'll complete the recording for the set time duration and then go back to normal recording, which is the red color icon. Now, before we take a look at the settings of the device, which is the second button from the left, the very first red button on the left can be short pressed to click pictures from all the 3 cameras simultaneously. This I think can be really useful, especially in crucial moments. This same button also lets us turn off or on the dashcam by long pressing it. Short pressing the second button from the left, we can access the settings of the F17 dashcam. We can set the resolution as such where both the inside and rear cameras can record only in 1080p format, but the front camera gets the option to record both 4K as well as the lower video format of 2.5K that can help you save some memory on your memory card or microSD card. But what about when we wish to operate just the front and inside cameras? Let's unplug the rear camera and take a look. The device will adjust the settings accordingly and will now show us options for just these 2 cameras. And here we can notice that the inside camera does also get the ability to record in a higher video format of 2.5K to match it with the front camera, just so you know. Let's reconnect the rear camera now and continue with the rest of the settings. You can format your microSD card from here. Loop recording refers to the video clip's lengths, which can be either 1, 3, or 5 minutes, and this will impact the emergency or locked video clips too, just like we saw earlier. Clock settings and time style or format can be changed here as well, but first I would recommend that you also set the correct time zone before making any changes here. I'll quickly hover between the list of supported languages we get with the F17 for your convenience. I have selected English as my preferred language. Wi-Fi includes the Wi-Fi name or the SSID and the Wi-Fi password, and here we can enable and disable the Wi-Fi as well. We'll take a look at this, and we'll also take a look at the shortcut to enable Wi-Fi when we take a look at the mobile app momentarily. You can get the mobile app for the dashcam by scanning this QR code on the dashcam screen. G-Sensor gets 4 options to start recording depending upon the sensitivity of the impact observed by the dashcam's sensor. Screensaver will basically turn off the screen after the set time. I personally like to see the recordings at all times, so I've kept this setting off for me. The rear camera can be flipped both vertically and horizontally, which of course depends upon your installation and setup, so it's nice that we get these options here. And for reference, this is how high the tone of the buttons is on the F17 dashcam. I recommend you also enable sound recording in all your video clips, but of course this is going to be your choice. You can disable the dashcam startup sound, but I keep this enabled as well so that I do not need to physically look at the dashcam every time after I start my car to confirm the dashcam has started recording or not. The date and timestamps can be removed from your recordings from here if you want as well. If you live in a daylight saving time zone, then you can enable that from here. We also get the option to disable the inside camera from here, which I found quite interesting. Notice the dashcams did not lag even a bit this time around and simply turned off the inside camera. Even the resolution settings have not changed this time around. I'm going to enable it again as I do need it here in my car. I've set the infrared or IR LEDs to work automatically. Speed units can be changed from here. We also get the option to set a fatigue reminder in the F17, though I rarely use this option. And inside the parking mode setup, we get options to either record time-lapse video clips or impact triggered video clips. The time-lapse recordings work great on all three cameras. The dashcam experience isn't just about the hardware. The app also plays a huge role. Redtiger uses the Redtiger Cam app available on iOS and Android. Connecting it is straightforward. You enable Wi-Fi on the dashcam, shortcut to which is long pressing the second button on the left. Connect your phone to the Wi-Fi network and then open the app. Within the app, we can add our dashcam and we are all set. Here we can view GPS data on a map, and the same can be viewed on the video clips if you download those clips using this app here. We also get the option to flip the camera view on the screen itself, view live footage from all three cameras and switch between them too, disable or enable sound or video recordings from here, as well as take pictures from here, which will then be saved individually in their corresponding folders. We do also get some of the settings we saw earlier on the device itself, but these are quite less in comparison. So if you wish to see all of the settings of the Redtiger F17 dashcam, then you would have to access the dashcam physically and not from the app here. And by clicking on the dashcam file icon at the bottom, we can browse all of the recorded videos and photos. These recorded files will be shown in a single location together and not in separate folders. You can also download videos to your phone. The interface is fairly intuitive, the core functionality is there, and the 5G Wi-Fi really elevates the user experience. This is where the F17 shines. Transferring large 4K files from the dashcam to your phone can be painfully slow on 2.4G. With 5G, however, I noticed a significant speed improvement. This is great if you need to quickly save or share footage after any incident. And to finally exit the app, we need to disconnect or disable the Wi-Fi on the F17 main unit, only after which we can enter the settings of the device, just so you know. And here's what all of the different folders look like, which can be accessed only on a PC or a computer, where we also get a link to download the official Windows app to play those clips, where we can also view the GPS locations to those clips, just like we saw in the mobile app. Alright, now this is where the rubber meets the road. What does 4K really look like from the Redtiger F17? During daytime, stunning clarity. License plates are easily readable even at a distance. Colors are vibrant and dynamic range is pretty good, handling bright skies and shadowed areas well. You can really zoom in on details, but during nighttime this is always a challenge. The F17 does a respectable job. Headlights don't blow out too badly and you can still make out details, though license plates can be tricky with oncoming lights. Overall, very good for a dashcam. Moving over to the interior camera during daytime, clear view of the cabin, good for ride-share drivers or just general cabin monitoring. And as for nighttime, this camera often has infrared or IR LEDs. I have set it to enable automatically as you saw earlier. I have found it provides surprisingly good visibility in complete darkness inside the car, showing occupants clearly in black and white. This is excellent for ride shares or security. And finally, moving over to the rear camera during daytime, good enough for identifying vehicles and general awareness. License plates are usually readable if the car behind you isn't too far or moving too fast. And as for nighttime, as expected, a bit more challenging than the front. Still, it provides crucial context in case of a rear end collision. Parking mode. As mentioned, this requires the hardware kit. The F17 offers different parking modes. G-sensor triggered records a short clip if any impact is detected, and time-lapse records continuously at a very low frame rate, around 1 frame per second, compressing hours of footage into just minutes. I tested the G-sensor parking mode and it worked reliably, detecting bumps and starting recording. Time-lapse is also a great option for extended surveillance without filling up your SD card too quickly. This is a crucial feature for peace of mind when your car is parked. So after spending some time with the Redtiger F17, here's a breakdown of the pros and cons that I noticed. As for the pros, it has excellent 4K front video quality, clear, detailed day and night. It has reliable 1080p interior and rear cameras, good overall coverage, especially the interior one. It has 5G Wi-Fi. It makes file transfers much quicker. Compact and discreet design, blends in well. It has a super capacitor power, which is always preferred for hot climates. Comprehensive parking mode, of course, with the hardwire kit installed, and it includes GPS for crucial data overlay. And as for the cons, cable management is still a chore for a 3-channel system. But then again, this is not really unique to the Redtiger F17. This goes for almost every dashcam out there. And second, app can be a bit basic. Common for dashcam apps, but functional nonetheless. So, who is the Redtiger F17 for? If you're looking for a comprehensive, high-quality 3-channel dashcam with excellent front video, reliable interior and rear coverage, and the convenience of fast 5G Wi-Fi, the Redtiger F17 is an extremely strong contender. I would absolutely recommend the Redtiger F17 as it delivers on its promises and offers a premium dashcam experience without a premium price tag. But what do you think? Do you have the Redtiger F17? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more tech reviews, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.